Well, Bethesda feeling mighty talkative this week. It seems like they're doing some last minute rounds before the holiday break. This was a bit of feedback that we gave them in the last couple of videos. We said, Bethesda, just use this, use your mouth, just talk a little bit. And we need to know what's going on with some of these things. Just talk to us, let us know what's happening. And I think there'll be more understanding. And when you look at that, some of the community feeling a little more upbeat lately. We have an idea of what's to come for Fallout 4, what's to come for Starfield, and especially Starfield. I'm excited to get into that today. We also do have some sour news today when it comes to the modding situation surrounding Starfield that I think is important to shine a light on. We'll talk about all of that in today's video, though, so if you're new here and you're into Bethesda news and information across Fallout, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, you already know the deal. Please consider subscribing as we're on our way to 600K. Let's start off with the Fallout 4 Next Gen update. Been so many question marks surrounding this one. Where is it? What's going on? Why isn't it out yet? Many people are thinking, hey, it's just some bug fixes, improved frame rate, improved visuals, some bonus Creation Club content that already exists, right? That's it. Okay, so why don't we have it yet? They promised it in 2023. It was even being asked about leading into Starfield's release date. We got that reply from Pete Hines that pretty much said like, hey, bug off. We are working on Starfield right now. And as the year progressed, it looked increasingly unlikely that we were going to get the Fallout 4 Next Gen update this year. And many of you already know the reason why. If you don't, we'll discuss what I think that is and get into it some more. First, let's read what Bethesda had to say on their official Fallout Twitter account, where they write, "Thank you for your patience with us as we work on the Fallout 4 Next Gen update. We know you're excited and so are we, but we need a bit more time and look forward to an exciting return to the Commonwealth in 2024. So naturally, with the long wait here, they announced this at the end of 2022, might I add. They took a full year to work on it. Now they're delaying into 2024. You know Bethesda fans, right? The expectations went from here to what the update's actually going to be to up here because, oh, they're taking even more time now. They got to be packing this thing full of new content. Well, that actually might be the case, and I'll get into how they're going to pull that off. The reason for the delay is obvious. If they have an ability to capitalize on a new player base that is going to be excited about Fallout, what is going to cause that surge of new players other than the Fallout TV show, which is coming out April 12th is the first episode. So I imagine the week beforehand, we will get news of a Fallout 4 Next Gen update on the way, or maybe even dropping that same day. No doubt in my mind, Bethesda is timing this out with the release of the Fallout TV show. Why do they want to do that? It's not just about player count. I think it actually boils down to what we just saw happen with Skyrim. Skyrim got the addition of creations, and I always say Skyrim's the test bed. Whatever happens at Skyrim is going to happen to pretty much every future Bethesda game, barring a couple of examples, like the amount of re-releases I think is a very Skyrim-specific thing. Whereas Fallout 4, I think, is going to get creations, and that's where I said some new stuff may be coming in, and the player count that would be surging from the TV show undoubtedly would benefit Bethesda. Why is that? Let's call it as it is. Creations, basically paid mods. Bethesda's really crafty form of microtransactions in a single-player game are here. And they're not just going to limit to Skyrim. They're going to bring it to Fallout 4. And I have no doubt in my mind they will bring it to Starfield. So when I take a look at this Fallout 4 Next Gen update and the reason it's taking so long and timing it out with the Fallout TV show undoubtedly, I think this is what's happening here. You want to have creations be put in at the same time as what's happening with the Fallout 4 Next Gen update, and you want all of that to time out with when you're going to have the maximum amount of players jumping into your otherwise pretty old game that came out in 2015. This is your first chance for some real traffic, and I do think, and I'll talk about this in a future video talking about the future of Fallout, this may be the beginning of a new era for the Fallout franchise with just how much content is going to start coming out around the Fallout TV show. But no doubt this symbolizes that Bethesda is expecting a lot of people to show up, and that means they must have some degree of confidence in the TV show, or at least that, or they're just trying to prep themselves in case they have the benefit that CD Projekt Red had where, Edge Runners really blew up Cyberpunk to a whole other level. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there's some tie-in content to what's happening in the TV show. I mean, it's only about, 8 years after Fallout 4, so they're pretty close in the timeline where maybe they could add some content in from the show. I'm just thinking of that on the fly. I didn't have that in my notes here, but just came to my head as like, well, that'd be kind of cool if they did that. I think that would lead to some purchases. So that's what I'm trying to think of here. I'm not advocating for it. I'm trying to think, okay, if I'm a business mind and I'm trying to drive purchases in this new system, how do I do that? Even if someone's playing Fallout 4 for the first time, it's like, oh, TV show content. Right. So we'll see if they end up doing that. But nonetheless, Fallout 4 Next Gen update, expectedly delayed, especially now we're here at the end of 2023. We all knew this was coming, so now we have that answer. We also have an interesting update on Starfield. This came via the Bethesda Game Studios Reddit account, where they posted the following message in a thread. They said, "Hey everyone, first, we read all the feedback here and greatly appreciate it and all the time and thought you put into the game. This small update was to mostly address the pet asteroid so many asked about following our last larger update, and we wanted to get that out before the holiday. We've been hard at work on many of the issues you've posted and expect an update early next year that will include a large number of in-progress quest fixes as well as FSR3 and XESS. Though we've fixed several quest issues from occurring, in-progress quest fixes are much harder to fix, and we've built a new system to correct those without you having to roll back your save. We're also hard at work on many of the new features you've asked for, from city maps to mod support to all new ways of traveling. Stay tuned. These will be rolling out with a regular cadence of fixes and updates we expect to have roughly every 6 weeks. If something can be done in a smaller hotfix in between, like the asteroid, and we feel it's safe, we'll get one of those out as well. Safe is the key here. We do take a lot of time to test even the smallest change in the game this large and dynamic." A lot of promises in here, and the comeback could be crazy if nailed. The big feature standing out to me before I get into anything else is this new way of traveling. I know the immediate thought for all of us is, oh my God, are they going to fix the exploration in Starfield? That's been the biggest complaint on this game, is absolutely how they handled space travel and how they've handled on the ground travel. And I don't know if this means they're going to pepper in new locations on certain planets. I don't know if this means they're going to figure out a way for you to actually fly around the solar systems, so there's a little bit more of dynamic events and a little bit more actual travel going on. It's less of an interactive loading screen. I don't know what string they're about to pull here. If I were to wager a guess, though, I'm going to go with the safe option here, and the option that would not excite many of us, but also kind of solve one of Starfield's on-foot problems, which is going from point A to point B takes far too long. Todd Howard really leaned in like, you have the jump pack, bro. And I was like, that thing ain't fast enough no matter what I do to it. There's nothing happening in between, so let me get there a little quicker. I don't know if it'll be this, but I've always speculated that with how much mech lore is in Starfield and with how much building components we have seen in Starfield already, I feel like the ability to build your own mech that kind of you can take out of your ship and travel on the ground, I feel like that would be a really fun way to play the game. Getting from point A to point B quicker, getting into those gunfights more, may make some of the exploration a little better, give it a better flow for when Shattered Space comes around and we get that more meaningful expansion, which hopefully solves a lot of the game's problems. We'll see. I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket here, though, unfortunately. I don't think just one update will solve this otherwise massive design issue in Starfield. However, what you should be excited about, in my opinion at least, is an update almost every month, and a meaningful feature almost every month is seemingly what's being promised here. Like, we're going to have these out every 6-ish weeks, which I think is excellent. I think that's a great starting point here to get an idea of when to expect hearing from Bethesda. And I personally, as I've said before, am excited for the future of Starfield. Of course, we knew mod support was coming, but I hope what this means is that at the tippy top of 2024, Bethesda does give us a earnest roadmap of when to expect everything. We already learned through the leaked Bethesda schedule that they're going to be providing Shattered Space 1 year after Starfield, so I would say it's probably pretty safe to expect Starfield's big expansion in late 2024, maybe early 2025, since the game has had so much feedback to account for before they go into that. I'm curious how they fold in needed features, needed updates into the expansion versus just dropping them as free updates throughout the year. We'll see, but nonetheless, Bethesda is really doubling down on the support here for Starfield, and a lot of people were encouraged by this message, so I'm very intrigued what they mean by the traveling. That's the thing that I think a lot of people are crossing their fingers for. I think, you know, when it comes to hopping star systems, maybe you get to like the boundaries of the star system and it asks you if you want to go to the next one. I don't know. I'm just interested to see what this traveling is, but it could either be really, really good, or it could be, that wasn't really what we were hoping it would be, but I guess that's all right. So we'll see where it falls, but nonetheless, excited to see a lot of updates for for Starfield. The last bit of news here, we talked a little bit about mod support here. There was a mod in development called Starfield Together, and it has been canceled. We actually talked about Skyrim Together here on this channel, which added multiplayer to Skyrim, and it's awesome when it works. And the idea of Starfield getting multiplayer sounded insane, but they were going for it here. And it turns out they don't like Starfield enough that they're dropping the project. That's what's said in this Discord message here, that they're going to basically upload the source code online if someone wants to pick it up and finish it. There is no playable version of Starfield Together as it stands right now. But yeah, this has kind of worried parts of the community because they're like, well, if the modders don't like the game, like, they're not just helping out of goodwill. If the modders aren't passionate about the game, they're not going to be here to fix it. And I totally think that's fair. If you don't like the game, like, you shouldn't, it's not your obligation. Like, Bethesda needs to make something that sparks you and gets you passionate, which is why I think they've really committed to like a major update every 6 weeks. That's a pretty strong way of saying, like, we're going to be here, we're going to be adding a lot in, stay tuned. We'll see what that ends up being, and obviously there are features like on the performance end with like DLSS that I don't think is as acceptable as coming so late into the game. But with Starfield's big modders in some cases dropping the game or having trouble with the tool set, not really enjoying the game enough, like, that's on Bethesda now to solve the problem themselves, make a base worth believing in that solves enough of the issues that you pull these core players and core creators back in. And that's where you get the, as Phil Spencer had said he wanted, Starfield being the next Skyrim in the terms of play, in the terms of engagement. I think it can get there. I've always been a believer in Starfield. I know it's the foolish thing to say nowadays. I'm not saying out of rabid fanboyism. I genuinely love Starfield. I do recognize its flaws, though, and I think if Bethesda and Xbox combine to get on top of that, they can have something truly, fully special here that I think will win a lot of people back. But they got to double down and put a lot of their efforts into fixing key design issues with the game. So we'll see where that ends up being. But that's your Bethesda news for the day. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below, so do fire away. With that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time around. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.